Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Afif Rifqy, and right now I'm going to explain to you guys the basic skills and the types of interpreting. So first of all, the basic skills that the interpreter must have is language skills, of course. So we must proficient in both English and the other language, not only the vocabulary and culture, but the ability to get across in both language, like understanding and conveying cultural reference, or like idioms and tone. And next is flexibility. So we must be able to adapt to different situation and context, whether it's cultural or linguistic is another one of the interpreter's ability. Next is we must have a good focus. So an interpreter needs to have a great memory and concentration to work with two languages simultaneously. So a good professional interpreter must use all five senses. And then we must have a honesty or impartiality. So we must treat all equally and not bias. And next is we must be able to turn the message accurately and idiomatically from the source language into the target language without any addition or other misleading factor that can alter the intended meaning of the message from the speaker. Next is we must have a good voice, because to have a strong clear voice you must have a and you also must have a professional demeanor and appearance. However, keep in mind that as an interpreter you must be invisible during the event, so you don't need to look very stand out. In other words, you must act as an what you are, information transmitter. Next is we have types of interpreting. So first we have the simultaneous interpreting. So in this type of interpreting, the interpreter must translate the sentence into the target language while simultaneously listening and comprehending the next sentence. So the goal is not to paraphrase but to convey the exact language. Next is the consecutive interpreting. So during this interpreting, the speaker stop every 1 to 5 minutes, usually at the end of every paragraph or a complete thought, and the interpreter then steps in to render what was said to the into the target language. So this kind of interpreting allows for a back and forth multiple party, which is why it is a popular approach used in legal proceeding and business meeting. And next is we have an escort or like travel interpreting. So for individuals or select groups requiring a dedicated interpretation throughout their foreign visit or other events, these travel interpreters are not just an interpreter, but they can provide a custom personal interpreting service in any location. Next is whisper interpreting. Uh, so it is similar to simultaneous interpretation, but instead of using microphone and headset, the interpreter sit next to to the person who require interpreting and whispers or to speak softly while interpreting in the target language. Next, we have schedule telephone interpreting. So this type is also called over the phone interpretation. So it can be either simultaneous or consecutive. It's up to the situation, I think. So this form of interpreting is performed during an established appointment where the interpreter does not see both parties in person, but they execute the interpreting via telephone. And I think that's all from me. Thank you for listening. I hope you ha- I hope you can understand what I'm saying. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.